My name is Carlos. I am Argentinian. I live in Spain since more than 30 years ago. And I just came here to share with you my experience as a cannabis consumer, medical cannabis consumer. I just want to share my experience with you and let you know about my fight with the legal drugs. It started when I was 40 years old. Now I am 60. So 20 years ago, I started to fight against chronic pain because I used to play rugby all my life, and I have a nail here because I have a broken clavicle. I have another nail here because I have a tibia and fistula broken. I have broken my wrist also. Mainly my main problem with chronic pain becomes with my 2 herniated discs. I have an operation of hernia 2 times. And these all breaks that I have around my body, depending the humidity or depending my mental state, or I really don't know, but provoke me during 5 years very strong chronic pain. So my medication started with 3 enantium a day. I don't know the name in the international market, but it's a painkiller, the 50 milligrams. I couldn't stop taking this enantium during 5 years of my life because I couldn't even walk from my hernia problem. So during 5 years of my life, I was taking about 4 pills a day because this enantium destroyed my stomach. So doctors told me, okay, take another prescription. This is a stomach protector, omeprazole. So 4 pills a day. So that was during 5 years. When I turned 45, I started to have problems with prostatitis. And you know, all men will understand that when we reach 45, 50 years old, we wake up sometimes 2 or 3 times a day during the night to pee. So I was waking up 3 times every night just to go to the bathroom, and this stopped me from having a good rest. I couldn't sleep very well. So, and then later, I have an accident, a car accident. I have a strong problem in my head that provoked me my terrible problem, which started with tinnitus. Tinnitus is a sound that I have in my brain that any doctor couldn't explain me where that sound comes from. So I started many testing many medicaments, many drugs, and they start to give me also corticoids, but they couldn't stop the brain, the sound. So the best solution was taking sleeping pills. And my nightmare started when I started to take, the name is Solpidem, it's a drug, Solpidem. Doctors prescribe me Solpidem 1 a day, and after 2 months of taking Solpidem, plus all the other drugs that I use for my chronic pain, it provoked me somnambulism. I was living with my wife, and some nights, some food was missing from the refrigerator, and some fruits were missing in the house, and even I didn't realize that this Solpidem, that they put me to sleep, during the night I wake up like a somnambule, and I went to the freezer, I took some food, and I didn't know it. The following day, food was missing in my house, and nobody knew. And then I found out that many other patients that were taking Solpidem had the same somnambulism story. So this is another issue with my fight with normal drugs. Because the tinnitus, I was also taking some corticoids, and when they wanted to stop my somnambulism, they changed from Solpidem, and they gave me diazepam, and that was terrible. This ended up in a depression, and I couldn't sleep at all. I was almost going to kill myself, and after that, I got cancer colon. So I said, okay, now I have to kill myself, cancer colon. So I got cancer operation, and when I was recovering, I found in Spain a clinic. The name is Calapa. It was Dr. Mariano de Palau. He's a specialist doctor in cannabis therapies, and he told me, okay, I was taking 8 pills a day, so that means about 250 pills a month. I stopped everything. I started to, when I was 47 years old, I started to attack my body with only cannabis. So we started to taste many different therapies. My main problem still, apart of the chronic pain, was my tinnitus. And it took me about 6 months to find out that the only drugs that relieve my all the time, 24 hours a day, all the time, was vaporizing pure CBD. When I started to vaporize pure CBD, the turns to shh. Oh, relief, I can sleep. But I forgot to tell you, because of all this mist of drugs that I was taking during 5 years, my other problem was sexual dysfunction. The pills put me to sleep, but also put to sleep my sexual life. I couldn't get erection. That ended up into a divorce. I lost my wife because I couldn't be like a man. So the doctors told me, no problem, Carlos, take a Viagra. So another pill, another Viagra. So I just wanted to let you know that since I started my chronic pain therapy with cannabis, I smoke. Years ago I started to smoke, but now I vaporize 3 times a day. I vaporize sativa, which is a normal cannabis, but that gives me reliefs in my chronic pain, and to fight against the effects of the sativa, because it turned me a little crazy when you smoke sativa. And I work in reproductive medicine. I work here in Kyiv because I work with surrogacy. So to fight against the effects of the psychoactive doses of the sativa, I vaporize CBD. Since I started vaporizing CBD, I vaporize every 2 or 3 hours. Every 2 or 3 hours, I inhalate 3 times with an electronic cigarette, CBD. And that's changed completely my life. I don't have any more noises. I don't feel any more chronic pain. I stopped taking 250 pills a month, only vaporize CBD, and sometimes 3 times a day, sativa. And of course, I don't take any more Viagras. So I came here just to let you know that cannabis can, as it saved my life, it can save your life also. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Слідуючим виступить Емануель Котцян. Це також пацієнт із Німеччини. Він розкаже свою історію, як це трапилось і як йому це допомогло. Дякую.
I forgot to say one thing. I want to say, in Spain there is an Observatorio Español del Cannabis Medicinal. It's Medical Cannabis Observatory. I am part of that observatory, and we, with Dr. Guzman from Madrid, we make a study of all the CBD products that are legal and available in Spain. 15 trademarks. We analyze. We pick up samples from 15 brands in different part of the geography of Spain, and in 2 months difference. So we got 30 samples of 15 brands, and we analyzed each one. We found out that out of 15 brands, 30 samples, only 5 brands has the percentage of CBD that is announced in the label. Only 5 has the 2 samples correct. Then there were 3 brands that only 1 sample was correct and the other was incorrect. And then there were 7 brands in the market announcing a percentage of CBD that was in some cases much less and in some cases a lot more. My problem to find my doses was to find the product that always has the same recipe, the same percentage. And that is the problem. If we don't regulate the market, nobody can control it. And for example, I started in the black market taking one drug, that this drug it's good for me. So when I came back to the same place, that drug wasn't anymore available. It was another kind of drug. So if we want to study the effects of the cannabis in our bodies, we need to find out always the same product. Always the same product. That's why we need to industrialize the production, okay?
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, most important, Carlos, to begin in the end, you told it, CBD products must be standardized, certified, and yeah, why I tell it first, I begin today. I have with my partners a big CBD sales distribution company in Germany, and of course this is a wild market, I can tell you. It's really interesting, and if you would have asked me 5 years ago, I would not have thought about exactly this idea. But let's say this is exactly the point. One of the key questions which I'm doing all the day is to sort out the shitty brands from the good brands. And yes, there are a lot more shitty brands, shitty products on the market than reliable. And even if you have a well-known brand on the top, it don't really mean that there is a guarantee. So let's begin with this.
Sorry, I didn't want to mention the names of the brands, but the 15 brands we analyzed, the 5 brands that correspond with the level were very little and unknown brands, and big brands like some of them made in Holland and in Norway, they were lying, completely lying. Only good marketing, that's all.
I can really connect to this because there are some Dutch brands which have old, good name, but they don't have any idea about CBD products. That's totally new for them. And the CBD market is really totally new for this planet. It began might be 5 years ago somewhere in America, and since that a lot things have been found out. But let me start in the beginning. My first cannabis consumption, yeah, I tell it, we are here on a medicinal conference, but it was recreational. I was 17 years old. It was a little bit boring. Why? Because I was not in a normal school. I was in a Catholic school, just with young men, and we have been, it was boring life a little bit. We have to party a lot, and it was normal in this school to drink beer a lot. It was the normal behavior was you could drink beer beginning with 15 years in Bavaria. You can imagine this is very special constellation. And in the beginning of 1 year, 2 new guys from northern Germany came to our school and began the new year, and they introduced cannabis to us. And this time it was hashish. It was normally black Afghan or red Lebanese and things like this, or Morocco, of course. Well, it was of course recreational, but for me it was a real clear decision. I don't drink that much of the wonderful Bavarian beer. Better I concentrate on the smoking aspect. Because it don't make me headache in the next morning. This is, I was young, I did not know a lot about it. Afterwards, because of this, I made a clear decision. I trust this plant, I trust cannabis, I trust hemp. I want to make any kind of political movement of legalization and of work with it. That's why 20 years ago I published my first magazine, which is called Hanfjournal. It's, let's say, the biggest magazine in Germany. It's a cost-free magazine distributed via grow shops and head shops. And of course, it was total, let's say, the situation was total different when we began this publication. Total different. Nobody wants to write about it. Especially the big newspapers in Germany, they try not to mention cannabis, the forbidden word. And this was the reason we found our own media to multiply what is happening already on this side. And I have heard a lot of the aspects on this conference already. One I want to mention, you can make clothes out of it, you can build houses out of it, you can make oil for making your normal food a lot richer and a lot healthier. Beside the medicine aspect, beside the recreational aspect. So at least these are 3 different markets and they are somehow connected with each other. Meanwhile, I'm traveling really a lot. The situation has changed completely. Big investment bankers are in the game. A lot of money. 3 weeks ago, one of the biggest companies invested $6 billion into buying an American company just by making a bet US will legalize next days. You know, nobody knows when America will really make the final step. Nobody knows. Might be not even Trump, you know? But somebody collected $6 billion to buy this company. You can read it on Wall Street online. You will find it, just Cannabis in the last 3 weeks, big deals, you will find it. So this is the situation right now, and when I began the business 20 years ago, it was one show in Germany, the other was in Switzerland 2 weeks ago. Then Cannabis popped up. I was on the first Cannabis. It was like underground experience, a room full of smoke. You couldn't see your neighbor even. Was different time. Nowadays, I'm on business events. People are paying up to 500, 600 euro just to enter the event without any expectation, just to hear the nice message that there can be made a lot of money out of cannabis. Yeah, what to tell you? After 17 years in this business, some of our legalization work of our politics make effect, and Günter will tell you more about this aspect because he is very much connected with it. But because of my neighbor Günter, it was a lot easier for me to also think about a real official document and to legalize my recreational use. By random, I found out, and it was attested by an independent doctor who don't know anything about my cannabis, and he makes studies about it. I think the right word for this disease is hyper dysfunction. I cannot focus very good to things. I'm jumping from one point to another, and this has been in the school time, but in the school time nobody knows about this disease, and nobody knows about maybe I can cure it with cannabis. Nowadays it's not a heavy disease. I can live with it, but I tell you, with cannabis, with the right cannabis, and this is the problem in this moment. Even we have a law about it, and officially it should be no problem for me to go to pharmacy and to receive the right cannabis. I cannot. There is always a lack of cannabis, and even my doctor don't know exactly what could help. Anyhow, in the case I have the right cannabis, the right plant, the right profile of terpenes, I can focus on my working life a lot better. This is rising my life quality for more than 100%. So by random, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I made the decision, I'm not the original alcohol drinker, which is usual more or less in Bavaria. I'm more the usual smoker. And that's why I made this business. And in the end, I found out, I healed myself by random. That's nice. I like it, and I wish for Ukraine also, because I know exactly nowadays you have the propositions already in the parliament. You have the chance now, if you are quick, I mean quick in terms of political means a half year is also okay. But still, you can join like the top 10 countries on this planet to be the most innovative country, and might be you can make an industry out of it.
We try.
Yes, please try it. Thanks for this moment, and I overgive to my neighbor.
Okay, thank you. Я представлю следующего спикера. Это один из первых пациентов в Германии, который получил официальное разрешение от правительства на использование каннабиса в медицинских целях. Поэтому поприветствуйте Гюнтер Матиас. Гюнтер Weiglein, прошу прощения.
Weiglein, but that's fine. Hello, everybody. My name is Günter Weiglein. I am 50.
Slowly, because translate, okay.
I am 54 years old, and I come from a town called Würzburg, which is in the southern part of Bavaria. Why I am sitting here today is because I am a cannabis patient for more than 10 years now, and I'm trying to tell you the story how this started with me. Usually my profession was, I used to be working in the automobile industry, designing car seats, until April 11 in 2002, when I had a motorcycle accident after work. And this could happen to anybody of you, to anybody of us. It must not be a motorcycle accident, but any accident can change your life, and this changed my life within seconds. It was on a nice afternoon on April 11th, 2002, at about 5 o'clock after work, when my sister called me up and asked me to come by and check her automobile because it would not start. I said, yes, of course, I'll be there in about 30 minutes and help you out. And I was thinking about taking the car or taking a motorcycle, and it was one of the first nice days in April. It was warm weather, and I decided to take my motorcycle. About 15 minutes later, a young man came from the left side and did not stop at a stop sign. I can see it right now. I can see him moving up to the stop sign, and he slowed down, and it looked like he was going to stop, but then he hit the gas pedal and he went on, and I was in the way. What happened to me was I have a lot of broken bones down from my leg all the way up to my chin. I still have metal inside, and some metal has been taken out in 2006, but some is inside, and I am keeping it the way it is. So there I was with an accident, and with the pain that came with this accident. I have back pain, I have pain in my left leg, and it started to be continuous about 2 years after the accident. I went back to work and back to my job, but from then on I had constant pain, and it would not stop. Like everybody else, like everybody here, of course, I went to my doctor and talked to my doctor about it, and I would call it an odyssey through a lot of different kind of chemical medicine. It started with pills. I was taking drops. I was taking opioids, up to opioids, to ease this pain. And I don't want to talk too bad about the medicine that is available. I want to say the medicine that I got from the pharmacy, it did help me. It helped, but it had lots of side effects. A lot of side effects came with this medicine. Side effects like I couldn't sleep. I'm sweating now, but not because of medicine. I'm not taking any. I couldn't sleep at night. I had stomach problems with my stomach. With my whole system was out of away from normal. So it was about 2005, 2006. One evening, I was sitting with friends on a weekend together, and of course, cannabis is available not just in Germany, and it's available here in Ukraine. Cannabis is available illegally all over the world. And like Emanuel earlier said, I did have experiences with cannabis when I was like 16, 17, 18 years old, but then it stopped and you get married, you find a wife, you have a family, and you go into your job, and it stopped again. Until this evening in about 2005, it was when I was sitting with my friends and they were smoking cannabis with tobacco mixed, and I was sitting there and they knew my situation, they knew that I have pain, that I've been complaining all the time, and I've been telling about different medicines that I had to take and which changed my personality. So in this evening, one of the guys just said, "Hey Günter, why don't you try cannabis for it? And it will not hurt you. You will not die from it. Just try it." And of course, I had the experience from decades before, and I did try it. I did try it. If you have pain, if you have serious pain, you would take anything to make this pain go away. It must not have to be cannabis. I would take anything. So I tried the cannabis, and what happened was immediately, almost within half a minute, 1 minute, I felt the relaxation. My muscles came at ease. They loosened up. The pain did not go away, but it went down. I leveled it down to a point where I say, hey, this is fine. If I can keep this level of pain, I can live with it. If I don't need it, if this is what cannabis can do for me, then I will take cannabis from now on. And now we are still in 2006, and this was illegal in Germany still, too. So what I did, I told my doctor, I had a very good, with my doctor, I had very good feelings with him, and I told him about it, and my doctor told me, you know, it's illegal, but I know I can see you. I can see you're doing a lot better with this plant, and keep on taking it, keep on doing it, and just don't talk about it. This was in 2006, so I kept on. I started to buy cannabis illegally from the market, and reducing, but I could reduce the pills already, the other medicine I've been taking. So I kept with the subject. Cannabis helped me, and I kept on using it until one night in 2007, I got pulled over by police, and I still have my driver's license. I still have my driver's license today, and I am allowed to drive a car. But back then, they wanted, the law was still like this is the same situation today. If you are pulled over and if you are controlled by police, your license will be gone. It does not matter if you smoked a joint 4 weeks ago. If they find any little traces in your blood, they will take away your driver's license. But this was the point that really activated me and kept, and I said, no, this is not right. This is not right. I have an accident. Somebody put me in a position where I have problems walking, and now the government comes and wants to take my license away for driving not under the influence, because I smoked, I used cannabis days before. I was not under the influence. This is when my fight started against the government. So, in 2009, the German government finally started to hand out licenses to buy cannabis from the pharmacy. And I was within the first 10 patients back then who were allowed to buy cannabis. This situation was from 2009 until 2017. The patients in Germany who were allowed to use cannabis for medicine had to pay for it out of their own pocket. And this means, in my case, I use about 3 grams every day. This is 90 grams in 1 month, and I would have to pay about 1,000 euros every month just to get this medicine. This is impossible, even for us in Germany. 1,000 euros every month just for medicine, this is impossible to have. And for that reason, me and other patients, it was 5 patients, we started to go to court and sue our government for growing our own medicine at home. This started in 2010. I put in an application to grow my own cannabis just for my own medicinal purposes. It took the government 4 years for the court date, and in 2014, we were 5 men standing in Cologne at court for home growing cannabis. 3 of the patients were granted, 2 of them were denied. I was one of the patients who was granted to grow cannabis at home. But what happened now? The judge ordered the institute who was supposed to hand out the licenses, ordered the institute to give us patients the license to grow cannabis. What they did is they stretched it out and they never handed. We never got any license, and what they did is they changed the law. What the government came up with is changing the law. In March 2017, it got in effect, and now it's about 25,000 plus patients in Germany who get cannabis out of the pharmacy. About 60% of them are covered by the health insurance and don't have to pay for it. They will get the cannabis for free, and the other 40% are denied. So the situation right now, it's half and half. It's still not good. Another problem that we have now is that even if I would get the cannabis from the pharmacy, the supply is not enough. Our government has not calculated enough patients enough ahead, so there is always a lack of cannabis. This means if my doctor gives me a prescription to maybe get 20 grams tomorrow out of the pharmacy, they maybe not have it. They may don't have anything, or maybe they have some strain that does not fit me. So this is the reason why I am still on the fight for growing my own cannabis, only for my medicinal purpose. I am saving, I have to say, if I grow my own, at the moment, since this law changed in 2017, the price is almost double. Before the law, in Germany, 1 gram costed between 12 and 14 euros for 1 gram out of the pharmacy. Now it costs about 25. So this means those 40% of patients who have to pay for their cannabis out of the pharmacy have to pay 25 euros for 1 gram of cannabis, and 100 meters down the street you can buy it for about 7 or 8 euros, illegally of course. So there is still a lot of work we have to do. I like the situation that we have now very much. There is access to cannabis. This was unthinkable about 15 years ago. I would not believe that this is possible, that today that I would receive cannabis as medicine. So what I have to say to the patients here in Ukraine is, what the situation in Germany is today, this is what patients did. Patients, what they went to court, they were fighting for their rights to have access to this plant. And nothing that we have achieved comes from our government. This is not a gift and not a present from our government to give us cannabis. This is what patients did, what patients were fighting for, and plus with their doctors. And the doctors, my doctor is sitting right here, he'll be next. And this is still one of the biggest problems in Germany that we have, is to find a doctor, for a patient to find a doctor who is willing to help. Because most of them the doctors are afraid about their colleagues talking about, we're talking about cannabis, we're talking about a plant, and it's still a big stigma, it has a big stigma on it, and it'll take, I don't know how long to get rid of this bad reputation. But finally, there is more and more patients standing up, more and more people standing up talking for the plant, but it's still hard to find a doctor in Germany, and there are more and more coming up, but this is a process that will take another, I don't know how many years. But my story is, my path is, I am fighting for the access of growing. Of course, patients must be able to get it from the pharmacy. There is only a few who will be able to do this. Most of them cannot grow their own due to their health conditions, due to their living conditions, whatever. But there must be. I don't want to have the government to have 100% access to this plant. I want also the individual to be able to grow. That's all I have to say. So, thank you for listening to me, and I'll give the microphone to the doctor, the man who's been helping me to be so healthy today.
My name is Rainer, please. I'm almost 74 years old. When I was 13, I hit with a fork into my eye, and so I experienced pain, real pain for the first time, because it was central pain. I was blinded then after the 2 operations I had, and I had the pains. I even knew by then another pain, because when one nurse came and gave me the injection, it didn't hurt at all. And the other one, I was jumping to the ceiling. So 2 years later, my father, who was a pathologist, he discovered that Contagan was causing embryogenetic failure. The arms were missing, the legs were missing, and he announced this to his professor at the University of Hamburg. But this time was much more severe than you have it now, because at that time the prof, who was the chief of my father, he said, German doctors don't make mistakes. So this big catastrophe of the pharmaceutical industry influenced me inside myself more than I could analyze it later. But at that time, I was only impressed by the fact, how can it be that medicine can be so bad? Is it that the docs don't know? Or is it the power of the pharma industry? Because they got away. You know, Grüntal Chemie, they paid 200 million Deutschmark at that time. But when you see the survivors of the Contagan catastrophe, nobody gives a shit on them now. It's the same thing which happens with veteran. It's the same thing which happened to the Jews after the war, and it was the same which was happening to all the people who had been resistant to Nazi regime. You know, this was a war against victims. And so very early in my studies then, I came into contact with black Afghan when I was 23. And when I had the problem with my contact lens, you know, I could only put it 4 hours, and then I got inflammation and I got headaches. I tried this, and I didn't got addicted or somehow, because when you are studying medicine, you're always thinking of losing your license, you know, when they catch you. So I didn't pay so much attention. I was living in Hamburg at that time, and then later I went to Erlangen, which is near Nuremberg. And during the heavy stress of examination, you know, you had to learn more than 1.5 meters of books. You had to know them by heart. And then I did this, and then of course I took it recreationally, because when the headache came from the eye, you know, it's okay. You know how you can suffer. And then I made my examination, and you know, all of a sudden I was thinking what I'm going to do in the year 2000 to have money and to have work and everything. So I pondered on these things, and I pondered on pain. What do I know about pain treatment? Oh, I knew Novalgine, but as I knew from my studies, I still have to prescribe Novamin sulfone, because first I hate Bayer, and second I hate the substance because of its side effects, very heavy side effects. Novamin sulfone is being prohibited mostly all over the world. Only in Germany now, because we have so many cancers and so many other sicknesses we cannot cope with. Well, what can I say? I discovered I had no idea of a righteous pain therapy, which leads your body again into into junction with your head, that you can live. And I didn't know about old people. What is good medicine for old people? Oh, I found out plants are better than chemistry. And I practiced that when I was a social security doc till 86. Then came Chernobyl, and I was living 3 miles away from an atomic plant, which we're going to be and which is still now there. They put it down, but now we have 88 times 12 Chernobyl. We have it in a small hall now. They put these castors where they have the put. So in my area, pain is being introduced because of the radiation, because the radiation also changes, you know. So I went away from there, and then because I hadn't success in my cabinet, because I was using so much plants that the pharmacy, because of my continuous working with plants, I had Echinacea purpurea, which is pre-cannabinoid. You could cause fever. You could demask certain symptoms, and you could guide them back into the sickness which maybe have happened 2 or 3 or 15 years ago. So a good doc has always to be a detective of a higher class, because you have to do it with living, not with dead people. And I was working a lot then theoretically on this problem, and then I quitted Social Security because they were punishing me for using plants. You know, they were much cheaper, but in Germany at that time there was chemistry as it is now. Now it is chemistry. You know, we have, I stop here. How I came to cannabis again, that was after I was doing substitutional work for heroin addicts. By the way, one thing, there has been a very famous experiment. They gave, was heißt Spinne nochmal? Spiders. They gave spiders cocaine, they gave spiders caffeine, they gave spiders marijuana, and they gave spider heroin and nicotine. So we have 5 drugs experimented on these spiders. You know what happened, and this is according also to my clinical experience. Under heroin, the spider formed a complete, almost complete, very functional net. The cannabis was missing some threads. Nicotine, they couldn't do anything at all. Cocaine, they couldn't do at all. They spun something. So this was a very nice fact for me, because I had also heroin babies from heroin addicted mothers. But this is no problem, because you don't have such failures as you have when the woman smokes during or before. Your child will be always smaller, not so intelligent, and will suffer his whole life. That's so much the nicotine. And I come now back to cannabis. When I was reaching then the end of my work, because I shut down the work, because there's no possibility, only with people like him who suffer concrete, you can push the government to accept that plants can heal also. We doctors, we are elevated. Oh, plants, nothing. The plant is not. This is what we lost. We lost our natural relations. And now comes the buffalo of the plant. And many politicians thought they could push it away. They could forbid a plant. How can you forbid it? How stupid is this? So I studied a lot on cannabis then, and I also, I can do acupuncture, I can do laser, I can do injections, but nowadays we have more and more problematic patients. And then what we have then, when you put these people to neurologists, pain doctors, all they get is what my friend has told to you. And this is, to my opinion, they're making robots out of people who only have chronic pain. So there's also the question on human rights. Do you give them the chemistry, or do you try to get a receipt of cannabis for him? So police went into my house. Also, they thought I was dealing. Imagine, no. I cut here. What I want to say to you, when cannabis is now so much an issue, it shows us that we have lost completely our relation with our Mother Earth. Because there's so many other plants we can use. But when you are offered a chewing gum, do you take it or do you read before? When you read the package of a chewing gum, you found, for example, BHA. You know what that is? That's butanol hydroxyanisole that causes cancer. So 10-year-old children in my country consume cancer chewing gum. And this is a fact because my country is being ruled by chemistry and pharmacy industry. Because in the end, when you don't treat pain, chronic pain, correctly, you know what comes? Cancer. Cancer, when you don't find out why the patient has pains, so incredibly pains, when you don't find out, when you saturate him with chemical drugs, no chance. You have to find out why he has a pain. And when there is, for example, cannabis, which can really, as we have seen from the pharmacology analysis, and as we see what is happening all over the world. In fact, I want to stop here. I want to say only when hemp was becoming popular, but in the musical scene in America in the 30s, you know what happened? They all met under the music. There were no classes anymore. There were no rich people. There were people from all over the world coming and hearing the same music. And there was no difference in thinking. I was bigger than you, a bigger car, and I to consume this. Here, see my watch. This was not there. Unity of understanding. This could be our vision for the future. But, of course, we have to use the right medicines, okay? So this is why I stop now.
Thank you.